I really welcome this opportunity to interact with all of you. And I'm rather glad that we are continuing with the South African tradition that whenever we visit foreign lands, we don't only go as government, but also include business leaders. But to put the cherry on top, we also have union leaders. We have Matthew Parks, who comes from the largest trade union federation in South Africa called COSATU, and I also welcome him. He does a lot of work in Parliament, and they check everything we do, criticize government, and streamline the laws that we pass and all that. So it's wonderful to have trade union representatives here as well. We're meeting almost 4 months since our last general elections, which produced a government of national unity. We opted for this model, which was really inaugurated by Nelson Mandela in 1994, although that one was determined by the constitution, the interim constitution we had drafted. This time round, we did it on a voluntary basis, bringing together 10 political parties to coalesce around a common agenda for the economic growth and sustainable development in our country. The 10 parties coming from diverse histories, diverse backgrounds, ideological orientations, and what have you, have in the past 4 months been working together, forging a way forward for South Africa. Yesterday I had the occasion to meet the Secretary General of the United Nations, who I call the governor of the world, and he congratulated us and said that the world welcomes the formation of a government of national unity, and that the world can draw a leaf of some lessons from South Africa in forging unity and bringing diverse people together to take their country forward. And I thanked him, but I said he is the quintessential negotiator, because he always succeeds in bringing the world together. Yesterday, a resolution was passed by the General Assembly on a pact that is going to address a number of challenges that the world faces, and I congratulated him for that. Through this government that we have formed, which a number of you have been speaking so positively about, and we welcome your positive messages because they are also being beamed in our own press in South Africa, and business community is responding very positively to the second miracle, if you like, that we have put together. And through this, we are seeking to drive further reforms in our country, reforms that will leverage the strength of our key economic sectors, such as mining, energy, manufacturing. And we aim through this to improve the business operating environment and attract investment. And that is one of the reasons why we are here, much as we want to talk about critical minerals. I'm rather glad that there are various sectors that are represented in this round table, from telecommunications, banking, and product manufacturing, and a number of others, infrastructure. So we do welcome this opportunity, but also to inform you that South Africa is committed on its path to moving our economy forward, to contributing its fair share to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and adapting and mitigating the impacts of climate change. we are advancing a just energy transition plan that will guide our shift from fossil fuel energy production to renewable energy sources, whilst at the same time ensuring equitable economic opportunities and social inclusion for affected communities. And our country's and Africa's critical mineral sector has a crucial role to play in this regard, and we recognize the importance of collaboration, of working together with other countries to develop the potential of our critical mineral sector. The US in particular has established a great deal of expertise in a number of areas that fuel the mining sector, such as automation, innovation, and sustainable practices, and we welcome that. We want to strengthen our ties with US companies and institutions to foster further technological advancement and to enhance supply chain efficiencies and attract investment into our mining sector. South Africa strongly endorses the United Nations Secretary General's position paper on critical energy transition minerals, which my dear sister, Ms. Diseko, has been involved in as well as one of the key coordinators, where the SG highlights the importance of beneficiation, benefit sharing, human rights, local value addition, and economic diversification. It would not be an understatement to say that the minerals that lie beneath the soil of not only South Africa, but the soil of various countries on our continent are powering the energy revolution, the green energy revolution in the world. 30% of the world's proven critical mineral reserves are found in sub-Saharan Africa. South Africa has substantial reserves, as we heard earlier, of platinum group metals, manganese, vanadium, as well as chromium. These resources are fundamental to the development of cutting-edge technologies that drive progress in various sectors. What will be critical is to ensure that this progress does not leave Africa behind. So the extraction of these critical minerals must not perpetuate colonial era patterns of exploitation of the continent's rich resources, where the past colonial powers, through their companies, came into the continent, extracted just the minerals, and exported them to their own countries, and beneficiated them, and in turn sold back to our countries the finished products. We want to reverse that whole practice. And I was rather pleased, was it a year or so ago, when I was in Paris at one of the summits that we held to discuss how we can restructure the financial architecture of the world, when one of the key leaders in Europe actually said that we should now, as the importing countries, that is the Europeans, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere, ensure that as we invest in mineral extraction, we also side by side invest in processing. And he was quite bold and firm on this assertion, and I welcomed that. And I was glad that the message that we've been beaming on the beneficiation of minerals and of processing is beginning to gain traction. And as it stands, most African countries export critical minerals primarily in their raw form. By focusing on basic extraction and not on beneficiation and value-added processing of minerals, Africa is both missing out as well as losing out. By some estimates, extraction of select minerals could boost the region's GDP by up to 12% or more in the coming years, say by 2050. However, this is really, in the end, a fraction of the benefits that could be reaped from processing and beneficiation. By some estimates, African countries could generate easily up to $24 billion a year in GDP and create 2.3 million jobs from investing in mining beneficiation and domestic processing. We are making progress, however. By way of example, one of our key companies represented here, Sasol, which is our flagship petrochemical company, is also a leader in green hydrogen technologies, including research and development, as are other companies as well, like Anglo American, who have taken major steps in exploiting the hydrogen technologies. As the global automotive industry moves towards electric vehicles and new energy vehicles, we are leveraging on what I would call our new experience, new rich experience with automotive production to get some of the world's leading automotive manufacturers with a footprint in South Africa to produce more of their green vehicles in our own country. As you may well know, we've got a number of original equipment manufacturers who manufacture cars located in South Africa, and we're seeing a great deal of interest and attraction to our market. Without revealing anything, later today I'll be meeting the key leaders in Tesla, who are also looking at our market to see how far they can go in using South Africa as a launch pad for some of their products. Although South Africa's ratio of beneficiated to primary products exported continues to improve, we clearly need to do much more than this. And according to the IMF, the global market for critical minerals is expected to total approximately $16 trillion over the next 25 years. Africa is therefore perfectly positioned to leverage this demand for its benefit. And it demonstrates that, yes, indeed, Africa and indeed South Africa is well positioned as an investment destination for those who want to capture this benefit that could flow from it. As a country, South Africa is committed to creating a supportive policy framework for critical minerals. Our policy approach has 5 key elements. The first is to simplify and streamline regulations and the regulatory approvals for critical minerals extraction and processing. Last year we had a really wonderful meeting with US businesses where they raised a number of issues, and there were not too many. I was actually surprised about the regulatory framework, which they saw as improving and getting better on an ongoing basis. And we are moving forward, and that is what our structural reforms are pivoted on. Yes, there are areas where we're moving a little bit slower than what we should, but we are pointing in the right direction and our reforms are beginning to gain traction. Secondly, to implement measures to support research and development, yes, in mining technologies, but also to bump up our own R&D expenditure. By fostering innovation, we aim to enhance extraction efficiency and to reduce costs and to drive technological advancements in the sector. The third area is to invest in programs to build the skills as well as capabilities of our workers. This includes training and development initiatives to ensure that South Africa has a skilled labor force capable of meeting the demands of the modern mining sector. The skills development area is one of those areas where the past misrulers of our country did us a great deal of damage and disservice, because they deliberately focused on ensuring that black South Africans do not really accede to a higher level of skills. And in many ways, this has been holding us back, because as we well know, education is a generational process that takes a number of years. But over the last 30 years, we have been seeing some improvements, but we need to see more. The fourth area is to prioritize investments in transport and logistics and to improve the efficiency of mineral supply chains. And we've been very fortunate in this area, having realized that we need to improve the efficiency of our supply chain sector through the improving logistics. We set up a presidential working group to work with business, and I'm glad that one of those who are involved with us in this area, Ms. Zikalala from Kumba Resources and Anglo-American, is here because she is one of those who bears testimony to our resolve to ensure that our logistics sector does improve, and we're beginning to see improvements, because in many ways that is what has been holding the companies like hers back. So we are upgrading our ports, our railways, and the roads to support the seamless movement of minerals from mines to global markets. The fifth area is to incentivize, yes, domestic as well as international investment in the critical mineral sector. And this includes tax incentives, grants in areas that need that, and also support mechanisms to encourage investment in exploration, production, and technological development. So South Africa has a beneficiation strategy that seeks to translate the benefits of our country's mineral endowments into a national competitive advantage. As the UN Secretary General said in his paper, which Mr. Seko was talking to, has noted, critical energy transition minerals can transform economies, they can create green jobs, and they can foster sustainable local, regional, and global development. For this unique opportunity to meet its promise and fully realize its potential, it will be key that both mineral-producing countries and the countries that are the end destination for these minerals strive for inclusivity. The extraction and processing of these critical minerals must create, yes, work opportunities for communities, but they must also not close a blind eye to the developmental needs, particularly of the areas where they are invested. One of my past activities was that of being a union leader, and I had the honor and the privilege to lead mine workers for 9 years, and moving from mine to mine, going to areas where mines that are multi-billion rand, if you like, multi-billion rand dollar businesses, where you would see how they invest a lot of money and extract the minerals, but also be able to just build roads where infrastructure wasn't present, including water and electricity. And some of these mines would have local villages near them. And those local villages will forever, for years, not even have the water. And yet the mining companies would be pumping water from a water resource into the mine, bypassing those villages. And those villagers would forever remain poor. And we are now saying any investment should be beneficial. We should be inclusive and should foster the development of communities around where the investment takes place. Every effort must therefore be made on the parts of governments and mining companies to ensure that practices rife on the continent like child and forced labor and human rights abuses of mine workers and ignoring communities from a development point of view must be eradicated. Local beneficiation must be prioritized and supported, enabling economies to diversify as well as to industrialize, and environmental safeguards, ecosystem protections, and sustainable extraction and processing practices must be sacrosanct. The extraction of these resources from the locations where they are mined is finite. As the UN Secretary General's paper notes, there must be a focus not on short-term prosperity, but on building lasting intergenerational equity. So these minerals are more than just commodities. They are integral to resolving some of the world's most pressing challenges, and be they climate change, energy insecurity, or food insecurity, and community development. These minerals power the technologies that can help us bring about a world that is more equitable and that leaves no one behind. And I do believe that by leveraging our respective strengths, pursuing strategic collaborations and improvement and implementing supportive policies, we do all stand ready to meet the demands of the global market and drive sustainable development. So I do call not only on US companies, but also our own companies in South Africa and investors to join us on this journey. We have now, and some of you said that we are now building the next chapter for our country, and we are on a next journey to our next cycle of life. And I can confirm that we've embarked on a new journey, a journey where we've all put our differences aside as political leaders in our country, and having created this government of national unity, which is really infusing a lot of confidence, even amongst ordinary South Africans. We do think that the support that we can get from an investment point of view and from a confidence-building point of view is going to stand our country in good stead. So I really welcome this opportunity and want to thank you all for being here, and I look forward to your engagements. And your engagements with us should also be underpinned by suggesting solutions. I always say to my cabinet colleagues, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. So even today I will say, whilst you can articulate the challenges, and we have a number, also articulate solutions. Last year when we met, a number of companies articulated their frustration with our visa regime. And we, particularly when it comes to enabling key executives to come to South Africa easily. And we did say we are addressing this, and we continue to address it. This difficulty was so well articulated by one of our key bankers, Sim Chabalala, who's here, when we were in China at the FOCAC summit. And he said it takes him 2 days to get a visa to travel to China, but it takes his Chinese counterparts 4 to 6 months. And that message just really went to the heart, the center of my heart, like an arrow. And we are addressing that. So when you raise issues, be it as business leaders, including our own trade union movement, we listen. We're a listening government. We're prepared and willing to cooperate. Our ministers have had wonderful engagements. Minister Pakstow, as he said, was in Washington a month ago. Minister Lamula was here also a week ago, as both of them as new in their positions. And they've had wonderful engagements with U.S. government officials. So Ms. British Robinson will testify to this. Much as there are challenges, we are addressing those challenges and we are moving forward firmly. So thank you for being here. I look forward to the engagement with you. Thank you.